Hello, I'm Greg. Welcome to my channel, Midnight Oil Software, and our third attempt at live streaming our weekly mastermind meeting. So joining me so far today is Klaus and Jeff, and it looks like we have Manie here. Woohoo! Manie, I was just telling them I'm going to try to live stream again today. So we just went live. So you want to introduce yourself, and then Klaus and Jeff can introduce yourself?
Right. I'm Manie. I have a YouTube channel called Manie Makes Games, and I make mostly 2D educational games for children in the early years foundation stage.
Cool. Klaus?
I'm Manie.
Oh yeah, I'm Klaus and I'm a Unity developer, and I'm currently working on some side projects here.
I'm Jeff. I'm more of a dabbler, but learning quickly, and but try different crazy ideas.
Yeah. So we started this group about a year and a half ago. We formed this group at the Game Dev Guild conference organized by Jason Weimann. And he had a really cool space set up in Gather where we could go and congregate and organize ourselves based on day of the week and time zone for when we wanted our group to meet. And that's how we all came together. And we've been meeting regularly every week ever since. I don't know. Have we missed a week at all since it started? Maybe over the holidays or something?
Yeah, we missed a couple, I think.
Yeah, but pretty steady.
Yeah.
And so we talk about things we've learned. We talk about projects we're working on, and we help each other out with issues that we're stuck on. So who wants to kick it off? Who has something they want to show off this week? Embrace the awkward silence.
Anyone? I'll show you what I worked on, which was a prototype. I have lots of different prototype ideas. I think this one has not worked out either, but it was a very interesting experience. Where is it? Here we go.
So for people who are watching, Max just joined. So we'll let him introduce himself after Jeff gets done presenting.
So I had an idea, which was basically, it kind of started with Tetris. So I said, what if you took Tetris, but instead of moving the block that's coming in, you moved like the whole group of blocks instead, and you maneuvered it, and you caught them as they came in. This didn't really work the way I wanted to, and one of the reasons I wanted to do it was I was like, well, what if you had blocks come from more than one side? That insanity. So I have like a block here in the middle that's going to kind of catch things, and I can rotate it. You can't initially see it rotate, of course, because it's the same, on all sides, and I can move it around, and I just set up the keyboards. So if I do this, I can catch it over here, and then I can rotate it around, and then I can go over here and catch this block and rotate it around, and so on. Now, what happens is it gets quite long sometimes, and then that doesn't really work out so well. And it's not it's not fancy. It would have a lot more stuff, but this is the idea. And I also got set up so there's a list of spawners basically, so I can set up as many spawners from as many different directions as I like. If I were to rework this concept or finish this concept off. You would be like making shapes, and then they would disappear as you made certain shapes. That was kind of the concept. It just gets kind of crazy.
It would be really cool if you could rotate the incoming objects too. Kind of like Tetris. Of course, you'd have to have like four keys for the different directions it could come from or something.
It's already got like 6 keys to it. To move it around and rotate it. So it kind of became a little unworkable. I think it maybe could work, but I would change it probably to like a hex system and do some different things, and it wouldn't move a full block at a time. It would move like less than that, so you'd have more control over it. There's a lot of things that could be done to kind of move it forward, but I'm probably just going to keep it here. What I was very happy about was that my last prototype took me like over a month, and this one took me like 4 days. So it's moving a lot faster. Part of it was its concepts I'm working on, right? Block rotation, block movement, I'm pretty familiar with, and the spawning was not too hard. So I was happy I could get it done pretty quickly and then move on. So I'm pleased that I'm getting faster at prototyping.
Cool.
Yeah, but maybe because you're also like copying your old code, like what I do, have already prepared.
A little bit, yeah, like
Little bit.
basic stuff, yeah. But no big blocks of code, just like checking the syntax sometimes.
Well-
Mostly I don't, I don't get stuck for a day on something like how do I rotate something on what's the best way to do it. I can do it pretty quickly now, that's exciting.
Yeah, and that's because your like first game was about blocks, so you're like doing this good tip, like making the same game, not the same game, but making the game with the same.
The same kind,
mechanic. Yeah.
like similar mechanics kind of scrambled around. Yeah, that's true.
So Jeff, we have a question.
Mhm.
The Polygon Pilgrimage is asking, what about space to rotate the center, always clockwise, say, and then WASD to rotate the outer, assuming they come from 4 sides?
So always, can you repeat that?
He said, what about space, using a space key to rotate the center object, always clockwise, say, and then WASD to rotate objects coming in from the other sides?
Oh, that's interesting. So have 4 of them and you can rotate them, but only in one direction.
Yeah.
That's an interesting idea. That also is a crazy,
Or maybe
idea.
have another key that would just toggle the direction that you rotate. Like maybe enter would toggle between clockwise and counterclockwise, and then the other 4 keys, just 4 keys in space.
I would I would rather just rotate them the same direction. Almost like adding an extra key just to rotate a different direction is almost not a. I think you never save a keystroke actually.
Yeah.
Well, there is one way you would save one keystroke, but
maybe just use shift or something to rotate the other direction.
That's not terrible. Yeah, that's an interesting idea to go with the rotation. Really, and I was gonna add something to like flip the middle too, because sometimes you get like where you want a mirror image, where you want to line it up, but you can't because you need a flip.
Mm-hmm.
It just was a little much to control, but I think it would be better if, I didn't add the thing where it recognizes the shape and then it kind of, removes that, so it just gets bigger and bigger and bigger, and then it gets crazy, which was part of the concept. But I think too, there's a whole thing to deal with, like if you have your center block and you have something over here, and you make a shape here, and now you've got an outlying piece. You got to deal with all that as well. Which direction does it go? What happens to it? So there's some interesting things to talk about. I kind of like the concept. I think the concept could work in some way, but it's just a little more than I want to bite off right now.
He had another idea about if they only come from left and right, you could. Oh, he deleted it. But it was basically if they only come from left and right, you could use like A and D to rotate them, and then W and S to rotate them the other way or something. But,
yeah, no, I think there's different things. It just it gets a little crazy.
Yeah, there's a lot of options. I think it looks really good.
The original concept was, hey, there's 4 sides. What if there's 4 things coming in?
Yeah,
and it's kind of interesting. I think it could be worked in.
I think it's a cool concept, and I think it looks great for what you did that in a week.
Yeah, it's very cool.
I spent like 4 days on that, and I spent a couple days like paper prototyping a different idea that I might go somewhere with eventually.
Yeah.
I had like super crazy ideas. So like you're like gathering these until some point, maybe wait, and then it becomes just like a separate creature, and then you like creating new creatures, and then they fight. So it's it's from like Tetris to like have a robot wars, like battle royale.
That's
Cool.
interesting. Yeah.
Another idea is as it grows, have the camera zoom out, so that it just keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger.
Yeah, at least to a point. Like
Yeah.
there's a maximum, but
Yeah.
it definitely would be cool if it gets bigger and you zoom out so you get more room.
Cool. Well, Max, you want to? Oh, I'm sorry,
There's a
Klaus.
building game where I think it was 4-player or something like that, where 4-player build a tower and gets bigger and bigger, and the person with the biggest tower wins. And maybe you can.
You know what that one's called?
I have no idea.
Okay.
Sounds like a
maybe-
team building exercise we did at work once, where they gave you spaghetti, dry spaghetti and marshmallows, and you had to build the tallest tower just using spaghetti and marshmallows.
A little bit like that.
Yeah.
But maybe you can take a look at that if I can find the name, and maybe you can copy a few things from there.
Has anyone ever played Mini Metro? It works a little like that. So Mini Metro is
Mini
there's
Metro.
like, it starts with a subway map, and you get points on the subway map, and you're trying to connect them up to deliver the people where they go. But as you go through the game, your size gets almost imperceptibly bigger and bigger and bigger. It's kind of cool. So you don't notice it, but if you look 10 minutes later, you're like, oh, it's much bigger.
Oh, is it a math game?
No, it's a point-to-point connection game. It's a very simple game with a very simple interface. I really like it, actually.
Oh, there's Mini Metro
design.
London.
Okay, that's probably...
That's a math game, it looks like. I don't know.
Okay, there's a game on Steam called Mini Metro.
Yeah, I see it. I'm going to post it into the chat. So, Max, did you want to introduce yourself for the people watching the stream?
I just want to add, I like the class idea about the co-op game. So there could be a possibility when two players are trying to build this planet of bricks, and two other trying to
Destroy it?
or stop the blocks for adding. So you could make this two and two players trying to prevent or build this brick creature. I don't know how to call it. But it's great possibilities for co-op. But a lot of work.
Yeah, that would be really interesting. You're right. If are you thinking one person controls the incoming piece and rotates, and the other was rotating it as well, and they're trying to connect them?
I think one tries to do what you plan to do, just to play the Tetris. Another is fighting with both the second two players and two last players trying to prevent first one to gather the biggest brick creature. It become a several layers game when everyone has something to do.
Cool.
Battle Tetris.
Tricky
Yeah,
Towers.
I thought the game was called Tricky Towers.
Oh no, I never heard about
Oh.
that. But
So you can get it on Switch, PS4, Steam, and Xbox.
I guess it's a party game. That's why they have Switch. It's looks quite a party game.
Okay, I've seen this where you're stacking. Yeah, I've seen this one.
Cool. So, Max, your intro.
Yeah. Sorry for very long intro. I already forgot what I do. I am a Unity programmer. I program games for about 4, maybe a little bit more years, 5, depends how you count. So usually I work on strategy, puzzle, and a little bit RPG games, and same games I do in my free time. They just have maybe some kind of more puzzly RPG style. So what I did on the last week, I was fighting with my plan to finish the game, but it was failed because I have my problem with the stat system, because I had the very last before end of the sprint, my ticket to create some kind of progress system, because I just wanted to add 10 missions with a different complexity, and that was all. But I find that what progress will player have, because it's very boring to have just from mission to mission. And I loaded my stat system from all my other project, and after preparing everything, adding code, it was working for adding everything in inventory, bonuses, etc. I was like, why do I need that? What I will do with that, because I still have this linear gameplay from mission to mission. And what I did, I played Hades. Oh. Yeah, I played it, and I will add the simplest way of random missions. And what I did, okay, give me a second because I need to
Yeah,
restart.
show us.
Okay, I spelled the game because I now can't load the main game, so I have only the menu. But what I did with the missions. So first of all, I will show you the spreadsheets for balance that I did. That's the most important thing. Okay, give me a second. Oh yeah, I have it prepared. Now I need to click share. Because Unity don't die so quickly. Window, later, entire screen, second screen. I hope this one will work. And you should see the screen. Oh, you see the screen. So, as you remember, I'm making the Minesweeper game, and the Minesweeper game had the board or field that is usually have some size. And for making the whole game progress, I need some kind of complexity. So I need to have this easy, middle, and hard levels. So what I did, I just calculated the width and height that I can currently place on the screen, because the screen is not limited, is limited. And then I calculated the number of cells. Like, so more cells, it's harder to find the keys, because what I did, I have the goals not to find all the mines, but just find the specific keys. And what I did, I just tried to play several games with different options, with different amount of mines. For example, I just played this one, like 5, 25 cells, 5 mines. And I calculated the time that I usually need to finish the game. And so, and also I have the key. The key also goal is hidden somewhere in the cell that are not mines. Sorry, I wanted to show you the game, but I just can't currently. The play mode. So what I did, I calculated this complexity, and then I calculated the time that with which I'm okay. And then I just recalculated, made some formulas. It's very hard to explain. I just sit and was playing with the numbers to understand how much time for how much time it's very hard, because you always for balance the game. I hope you hear me. For balance the game, you need a thing that is constant. And only when you will find some constant in your games, for example, the shortest amount of time for finishing the easiest level, then you can build the whole balance. And after I find out with 25 cells and 5 mines is okay for 20-second game. So if I will give more time, it will be much more easier. If I will give the player less time, it's much more harder. If I will increase the number of mines or keys, it will be much more harder. So I can now play with that, and I can just create the number of many levels with a different balance without the need to play the game. And that's give the main opportunity.
Well, how did you validate that those numbers were accurate?
I just play, but I have this theory balance. I play the game, and I compare playing time. For example, I calculated that it will be 20 seconds. I played several runs, and it will about 15, 12, 24, 5, 15. So it's some kind of close, but here I have this problem 4. Okay, 4 is totally out.
That was an outlier, yeah.
Yeah, and I find out why it is, because there is a hack when you can just press the random cell in the game, just any, and under that cell will be a key. It's very, very low chance, but you have that on the levels when you have small amount of cells.
Sure.
And what does the key do?
Yeah, can you explain the key again? I'm not sure I totally understand it.
Okay, I will try to run the game, and hopefully it will not break, so you will understand what's going on. So I just need to return the old system, and I will try to play the game this way. Maybe it will work. I'm not sure. Let's try.
This is why you should always keep a working branch so you can just revert your code.
Yeah. I was planning to do that today, but like I had a meeting that started the like it should be like hour and it becomes like 4-hour meeting, so it was like out of schedule. Okay, so maybe it will work. What I need to turn off, I think this one. So as you see, like you have these keys, and what I did with the Minesweeper rules, like you also have mines, and the difference is that you don't need to open all the mines. You need to find a key. As you see, like their goal is find one key. You have 5 mines, 1 key, and 40 seconds. Key is on any possible cell except the cell with mines.
Do the numbers indicate the keys in some way?
You will see how you.
Okay.
You see this outline? This outline shows that somewhere here, about like this 6, 7, 8 cells, somewhere here there is a key, somewhere here. But for not making the player's life so easy, if you will just press here, it will not be open immediately. It like have its own health. So you need to click very many times to open it. But there is a chance that exactly under this key, exactly under this cell is a key. And that's why you had that like 4 seconds. Oh, you saw that. Like if there is a possibility that you will just click on random cell and there will be a key. But what I did, I just increased the number of clicks that you need to do, like from 10 to 30, and it's already increasing the time that you will lost. And the trick is, okay, if you ever played Minesweeper, there is a trick of using 2 mouse like buttons. If you solve the number of mines right, and you will press with the 2 buttons, it will instantly open all other that are not mines. And if you do that with this grayed out cells, they don't require like many times to click. They will just instantly be unlocked, and that's the main strategy. So you decide, or you want to click many times, or you can just solve very quickly. Like I know that here should be definitely bad example in level. That you know that it is much easier to I can show you. It's not showing. One more time. Okay, it's very bad when you play your own game very badly. Yeah, it's very sad. So like here is 2 to here. Like I know that definitely. No, very bad at it. Okay, let's try to open it like very hard way. Okay, now definitely like here. Okay, I know that 3 bombs are here. This is not a bomb, and if I will press here like with 2 buttons, this will be unlocked instantly. Like, oh, I solved it wrong way. But if I will solve it right way, it will be unlocked totally quickly, and that's the strategy. So you decide, or you will click here very quickly, or you will like solve it in the proper way, and you just need to understand what you will do based on the very start. So maybe it is better first strategy, maybe second.
So are you saying the key is in an area and you have to figure out the mines in that area?
Yeah, like somewhere here are the keys. So I can just, for example, click, and sometimes it works. But when we have like two key as a goal, it will not be the best strategy. Sometimes it works. But the best strategy is the one that you will decide to do during the game, because whoa, it's 5.
They're all mines, yeah.
They're all mine.
There's no key.
Yeah, That's a bug. That's a bug.
Yeah, I'm about to
Because
say
I
that.
allowed you too much time.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the idea is just to understand how the balance work on this very small level. Just calculate everything, and just to scale it on a bigger level. Without playing, you will know what exact level of complication each level will have, and what I planned based on that. Because game is a little bit based on this random things that you will, that you should risk, for example. And I plan that you will not have like this like row of levels, but you will have just a possibility to roll some amount of levels, and between them there will be like some easier, some harder, and the reward will be also different. And you will just roll. You will have like several missions, and you will decide like, hey, this one will pay off, this one will pay off, other will not, and you will roll one time again, and based on that, you will progress, because there will be like leveling system, and your role is just to select from the roll out one, which is best option for you, because you will pay each time for rolling new one. And that's just this game of like random and the best choice. But I will show you the menu, because I really tried to be at least pretty for a prototype. So I will go back, and I hope it will work.
What I don't understand though is
Yeah.
the good method to get the key seems to be to solve the level.
Yes, but when you have small level, that's the problem. That's when you will go to the bigger level, when you have like 100 cells, 100, and you will have, for example, 3 keys, but you will have 1 minute. It's not possible to open everything during this 1 minute. So what you will need to do is to risk, and just to click everywhere, just try it, or to like break those cells, or click even on mines. It will take some time of yours, but you should risk, because it's not possible to solve everything under that time.
Because in your game, clicking on a mine doesn't kill you. It just takes time away.
Yeah, I forgot to mention that thing.
Yeah.
That's the key. So it's it's not the finish of the game. It just steals your time, and it gives you extra chance. So it's this game of like, I can risk, I will lose some time, or I will get the empty cell, and that's what about. It's about like the risk. It's better sometimes to risk than do nothing, because when you do nothing, you think like what to do, you're losing time same way.
Cool.
Maybe, but like maybe during the explanation it's not very clear, but I played it, and like, well, it's quite fun. Maybe because I like Minesweeper. And oh yeah, so I finished it. Like each enemy will have its like little bit backstory. It's like an AI that is out of control, and you're like some kind of like person, a detective that trying to catch those AIs and to hack them and take some information from them, or stop them from doing some bad stuff. And as you see, they have this class, and this class defines how complex they are as a level and what reward they will give you. So higher class will give you more reward, but they will be harder. And for opening them, you need to progress through the game for like leveling up or increasing the search engine for like rolling better enemies. That was what I was doing like the last several days. And that was all.
Cool.
Any more questions? Nice. Now someone else, because I'm really tired of talking.
Yeah, who has something else to share?
Hold on. There we go. I've mostly been refactoring some of my old games and updating stuff. But I did run into an interesting problem 5 minutes before we came on.
Yeah, my favorite one.
Yeah. Let me show you what happened.
Only worst, like the worst case when you're like checking that it's working, but when you're showing it, it's not working. It like you like why? I checked like 3 times. What's happened?
Oh. Or if you're preparing something for a demo and it breaks just before you go in. All right. This is a mess right now. So ignore that. I put a big old button there for testing. What's happened to my code is, or to my entire app, is that all of a sudden on all the existing activities, if I press a button, that happens and nothing else.
Nice.
Like literally no logs, nothing.
But wait, do you have the event system on your scene somewhere?
I do.
I see. Yeah, event system. Yeah, it exists. I see.
Yeah, it's there. This app used to be on the old Unity input system, and then I switched it to the new input system, but it was on mixed. Worked, and then when I open it up today to update, this is what it gave me. When I create a new activity, a button works, but when I create a new button on an existing activity, I get nothing. And I did actually go to the event system, because remember, when you switch over from the old input system to the new input system, you have to update the event system as well. Did that too. Makes absolutely no difference. So yeah.
But if you will create like empty button just for fun, like just new empty button, and you will press it, it will work same way.
Yeah, that's exactly what I did here. We'll see how this button is set up. Up there. I've creatively named it button.
No, but,
Did it do something? Because I didn't see it do anything, or is that the problem?
But that's the problem.
Okay, that's what I thought, but I wanted to make sure.
yeah, just grayed out like it's pressed, but it's not working.
Yeah, you'll also see it doesn't change back. So it goes to the pressed color, and then it doesn't move on from there.
And did you try the same trick but on some other scene, or you have only one scene in this project?
No, I've tried it on some of my other scenes. Some of them work, some don't. Especially the menu scenes don't seem to work. But when I create a new scene and I put a button in a new scene, that works fine.
Okay, and you check the canvas, does the canvas have the raycaster?
Let's have a look.
Okay, great.
Graphics raycaster.
Yeah.
And on the camera, I think we need one as well, if I remember correctly. No, that's just if we want to cast.
Okay, and you tried to create a new canvas using the like just when you create some kind of new UI canvas, and try to create the new button here on the new canvas. And try to turn off the old one, so not just for
On the way.
There we go. Alright, so I'll grab this button.
just click. You can just like click on it in the game window.
Alright, let's try that.
Yeah, you can just.
Okay.
That does nothing at all. Let's make that a little larger so we can see it clearly. Does the same thing. You see the color?
Yeah, it's great. Yeah, it's always red. It should be.
Can you
Yeah, and there's no,
scroll down on the button properties? Okay, not much else there.
Yeah, it's right. Because usually it's like problem that you don't have the event system, but it's on its place and recast is on its place.
Yeah, it's a weird one. If I
Yeah.
could get it, if I could get something on the console at least, that would be nice. But yeah,
Yeah, I never seen it because it's like just working, but only halfway. It's much easier when it's not totally working.
yeah, there's something going on here. I just haven't been able to figure it out yet. I don't know if it's an object on the scene that's causing me an issue.
Have you tried relinking the functions and maybe adding new logic to a function on the button call? Maybe that broke in some way.
Oh, this is a brand new button, so that shouldn't be an issue, right?
Yeah, okay. But you get the animation, right? You have the click animation.
No, that's a trick. It's like only half because when you click, you have like this, like pressed, and then it's go back. Yeah, and in many problems that it's like pressing, but it's not unpressing. It's just waiting for something.
Yeah, right now it's doing nothing because I disabled the event system.
Yeah, maybe you should go back to one only, or you can just.
Oh, I see.
You see what it does. So it's supposed to go red back to white.
Yeah. And you try. Can you just remove the event system for now and create the new one, just for final tests? Delete this one and create the new one. UI event system. Yeah, on the very bottom. Yeah.
There we go.
Ah, you have here some error.
Yeah, that's because it needs to replace with input system UI input module.
Ah, okay. And
let's run it without fixing that first.
Oh, it worked.
But it works. So that's the trick. All right, so let's do what it asks us to do.
It's lying. It's not working. It asks you to do the thing that will break it. Tricky.
I think I have an idea how to fix it then. If we go project settings, layer, somewhere it asks you. Can you see?
No, you're not.
No, we don't see
on
the
the
settings.
screen. Because I remember there is option like when you should select what you use. You use both.
Yeah, I was using both.
Maybe you should switch to a new one because the component that you're updating is a new one. Belongs to a new system.
I'm going to try that and see what it does.
There was a picture like I know a year ago on the Reddit. Like previously on Unity you have this like one input system, one UI system, and now like new Unity users like have this like two input systems, three UI systems, and you're just like what I should do. Like I have this URP, HDRP, like what I should do. I don't know. I just wanted to create a simple game, and I need to solve so much problems.
Yeah, it just gets more and more interesting.
Oh, for you it's interesting. Yeah. For other people like new one, it's like a lot of problems.
Yeah. No. Stop sharing there. When it comes back up, I'll tell you guys if that worked. But I have a feeling that was the issue.
Oh. Maybe someone else.
So it looks like we're having audio problems again. I'm not sure why. I did a recording before it started, and I verified the audio was fine from y'all before I started streaming. And then apparently people who were watching at the beginning heard Jeff and all fine, but now I don't know. People are saying that they can't hear you. So I don't know. I guess we'll find out at the end. I'll go listen to the recording and see. But
What if everyone mutes, and then we bring people in one at a time?
Yeah, I don't know. I have no idea. It has to be something with OBS. But I mean, I'm looking at the levels, and you guys are pegging the needle. So I really don't. I don't know why it wouldn't be going out the stream correctly. But
it's very strange that it's like working correctly and then it breaks. Very strange.
So anybody else have anything to share? Manie? Klaus?
No, I'm still.
I can if you want, because I started to play with the visual effects and I created super simple visual effects. I can show you if you want.
Sure.
Cool, yeah.
And okay, give me a second to open it. So it's like super simple, but 2 seconds. I will start to share the screen then. Meanwhile, okay, entire screen, share. Oh, it's opened on the proper screen. So what I created, I need maybe to. So the first one was this tutorial with the simple fire that was made from a square texture. And what I did, I added the light, because you can add light to the particles. So they are real light. Yeah. So as you see, it's not the room, it's like real light. And it's what the particles could do, and it's really cool when you make some particles for like night flame. And it's very simple. So it's all are made from one square texture, and it's like just the basic weight with particle effects. They even don't. Okay, they use noise, but what I didn't like that the teacher, the person that created this tutorial, didn't know that noise is the quite consuming thing, because like particles are usually quite consuming. I remember when I worked with the Switch platform, so we had an effect with a super simple like texture. As I remember, it was like something kind of this, and very simple built-in shader. It was some kind of not custom. I remember it was like something base, because I remade myself it just for using the base particle shaders. And on Switch, that one effect of like smoke was killing all the FPS down. And what I understood, what they did to the Nintendo Switch, like the difference is that Nintendo Switch, they don't just decrease the power of the Nintendo Switch for like making it smaller. I think they cut some features for Switch being able to render more polygons as much as possible, but they have problems with post effects and VFX. So if you played Legend of Zelda, you will notice that they are like made many tricks with the VFX, because they're looking a little bit different as in other games. So that's the way, because if they will do this classical way with the particles and other stuff, that would just totally kill the game. And the other effects was a simpler one. It's like.
So before you move on, I'm going to ask some questions, and mostly because I didn't hear you for about the first half of that, because I don't know if other people are having problems, but my sound was breaking up.
Okay,
and then suddenly now I can hear you great. But so did you say this was this a custom thing you got off the store, or is this something you made?
I made this everything from scratch. Okay. So as you see, the material was created from the shader that you have in the universal render pipeline. So you can go just create shaders. Shader. Where we have shaders. Materials. Yeah. So when you're creating material, like material is just a shader with some settings in this simple way. So you can write your own shader and create material based on that, but you can also use the one that Unity all created for you.
This isn't a custom shader; it's a custom.
This is one is the
Material.
base. The material is a custom one, of course, but the shader is the one that Unity
Okay.
gives you. So with the universal render pipeline, they have for unlit. Give me a second. Particles.
Okay.
And there are three options: lit, simple lit, unlit. Usually for particles, use the option unlit. And lit is the unlit materials will not react on the light itself. The lit materials will react to the light. So you defined what you will need. Particles usually are unlit because they
light
themselves are it's like they are effects themselves. They're like the source of,
They're emissive.
yeah. Not, sometimes they're not like emission real light, but they looks like they're emitting something, so they'll usually use this unlit shader. And so what you have for the unlit shader, the options, you have like particles unlit. So you can set the basic texture, the normal map, and the emission color if you want. So it will be light, but you need to post-process for work and the simplest settings. So if you will look on my material for the square, it don't even use the texture. It's like empty. So you just use this like square one, which is the default empty, which is the default texture for Unity if you don't set the texture itself. So it's like use nothing outside of the Unity. Any more questions, or I just talked too much?
Can you go back to your settings again? So you put some noise on there, and did you put anything else on there?
Yeah, like as you see, like I will turn off all the particles because there's like too many of them. Like we will concentrate on this one.
Mm-hmm.
So as you see, it's like consists of one like main one, and two that are smoke and amber. So this one is main. So it's like the fire itself. There is a smoke. Like there is it's more darker and bigger, and there's this embers for showing like the little sparkles, like a real fire have like from sides. And what they do is just plays with the scale over lifetime. So we have base options that you use. It's like color over lifetime. As you see, you have very often the transparency. So what it's just you need to use this for like creating the particles, and all over the lifetime it's paints. It's like for different color and different transparency. And because on the start and end you have the 100 to 0 alpha, it's like have this feeling that it just disappears. And it's not very hard to play with particles, but you need, just practice. So you just need to sit and create 50 or 100 different effects for just taking out of your memory what you need for this effect or for that.
Is there also one that is doing the movement?
There is no. If I will move it now, it will just be static. So it's not.
No, I mean so you have color over lifetime. You have the alpha is changing over its lifetime, and I see you have a rotation over lifetime.
Yeah.
Is there or there's a size over lifetime? Are they moving upwards?
Yeah, sure. Like the.
And is there a setting for that we're?
Yeah, it's called velocity. As you will see, like smoke. If I will turn off all other, like you will see, you can move them many directions. Like as I remember, it's called velocity, and you can just point the directions.
Gotcha.
And it just creates some effect of wind, etc. So it's usually like tech art, because everything you see, it's usually just like curves or values over time. It's all, but you just need to understand what of each these different settings do, and that's all the trick. Just need to spend 1 million hours with that, and you're okay.
I'm pasting a link to a channel, Jeff. If you want to learn how to make VFX stuff like that, particle system stuff, that channel is excellent.
Cool.
Oh, I don't know. I know some other.
If you have some other ones, go ahead and paste them.
Well, this
Yeah.
is really cool. I feel like, because I feel like I'm seeing most of how it was put together, and I just was missing there was clearly movement here going on.
Yeah.
And the second effect was like the healing one.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, it's very basic one, but it's much more complex because, as you see, it like have like 4, 5.
You should make a package, like a GitHub package for those, and share
Those are
them.
nice.
For saving them, for sharing.
Well, for sharing them, if you don't mind sharing them.
Like I can share them. Yeah, because I was planning to a little bit change it for my healing effects. Maybe she will need that table because it's quite simple. And that was totally all that I did. Totally all, nothing
Okay.
more.
That's nice, Lincoln.
Yeah, thanks.
Well, I didn't do a whole lot this week. I'm going to share my screen. And what I was working on, I want to make a tutorial for how to make an audio and music manager. But I also want to use Zenject and their SignalBus for decoupling things, right? So you all probably won't be able to hear this, but people on the stream will be able to hear it. When I click play, it's going to start playing peaceful music. And then if I click that, it switches to another peaceful song and another peaceful song and another peaceful song. Combat music.
And they are like switching like softly.
Yeah, and
without,
so I
like-
was able to play sound effects too, and so I'm just triggering them through the UI. And so basically, I'm using Zenject, and I have a game installer, and it will basically bind things so that I don't have to like hard code references to them in my classes. And so like I'm using signals for when I enter peaceful or combat, or when I press the attack button or press the die button. And then my music manager just subscribes to those signals. So I just basically say signalbus.subscribe, and that signalbus is being injected by Zenject. And the only thing I'm actually assigning in here is my audio mixer, and I know I can inject that too, but I actually just assign that in the inspector. And then and the other thing that I want to cover in this tutorial is how to use addressables in asset groups. And the really cool thing is Unity's cloud content delivery. So all the music and all the songs, they're not included in the build. I'm getting them from Unity's cloud content delivery, which means I can actually change up the music or change up the sounds or add more music or add more sounds just through the dashboard in Unity's cloud content delivery dashboard. And I don't even have to push out a new build. People can already have the game and they'll get the new music or the new sound effects. And so all I do is when this thing starts up is I go and I load, I get the track names for each type of music. There's peaceful tracks, there's combat tracks. So I get the track names, and they're basically looking for them by tag. And then I go and I load that track on demand asynchronously. And then when that loading is completed, it actually assigns it to the audio source and plays it. And then I have another coroutine that will basically wait until that track finishes playing, and then it'll call this shuffle and play method again, which will go get the next track and play it. And so I basically I queue up all the track names, so I never repeat a track until they've all played at least once. So I'll randomly play the songs from that class of music until all of them have played at least once, and then I'll build a new list of track names to pull from randomly. So yeah, three main things I wanted to cover was one was how to make an audio manager and a music manager that you abstract from your code, you decouple using events or signals in this case. The other thing was how to use asset groups and addressables so that you don't load those things when your game loads. When your game should load pretty quick because it's not having to load all those song files and sound files. And then as you try to play them, I just go and get them from Unity, from their cloud content delivery service. And they got a pretty generous free tier. You get like 50 gigabytes of bandwidth per month for free. And then it's only like 8 cents per, I want to say per gigabyte over that. So, I mean,
very cheap.
Huh?
Quite cheap for Unity.
Yeah, it's really affordable. And I mean, to just play around with it, you totally do it for free and it isn't going to cost you a thing. So yeah, I'm not sure when I'll post that tutorial.
No,
I have some more refinement I want to do. So like right now, I'm not injecting my music manager. So I want to actually inject this too. And maybe, so this is part of a scene context. So I have a scene context and the only installer I've got is my game installer. I think what I want to do is make a project context and then have it inject my music manager and my sound effects manager. So they're available no matter what scene you're in. They'll be injected as singletons. You know, instead of using the classic singleton pattern where it's a static class with an instance, you know, property and all that, I'll just use Zenject to inject them in the project context so they're available in every scene. And then all I have to do is either put a inject attribute on a property to reference it or make it a constructor parameter. If it's not a mono behavior, you can actually have it be injected via the constructor, or I could have a method in the class that has the inject parameter, and inject will call that function. Another cool thing you can do is my music manager class or my sound effects manager class, I could implement an interface called iInitializable, and Zenject will call that function when it initializes. And I could also make it disposable, so to clean up when it goes away. And it can also, if I don't want it to be a mono behavior, I could just make it iTickable, and it will have a tick method that Zenject will call every frame. So it's kind of a way to get some of the mono behavior benefits without all the overhead of a mono behavior. So those are some things I'm going to be working on for my next tutorial.
Yeah, it's very cool. But I have many questions. Like the first one is that I'm really interested. Like, imagine like I have a bad internet connection and I'm running your game for the first time, and you have like these background tracks. What I will hear, There'll probably be some latency there while it's loading the tracks. Now, one thing I didn't show you is I did go and I set the quality of those tracks to 25%, and they're compressed too. So they're not that big. So unless you have a really bad internet connection, it shouldn't be that noticeable.
Will that be true though, even if it's not the first time? Like it sounded like they were.
Well, once it loads it's cached. So the addressable system, the asset groups.
Is it? But if you stop the game and you play again, are you loading it again?
Yes.
Okay.
Pretty sure that's the way the addressables work, because it's probably a memory cache. Although actually, that's a good question. Are they using a disk cache or are they doing a memory cache? I would think they're doing a memory cache, because if you're running this on a mobile device, I mean, that's one of the main use cases for using asset groups. So you're not making them download this huge game. And you don't want to take up a bunch of storage on their phone.
As I remember, like the assets are using just the disk space on your phone.
Well, unless they're addressables. And
maybe
right. So if they're just addressables and they're not using cloud content delivery, then yeah, they're part of the download of the when you install the game. But when the game loads, it's not loading them all until you actually try and use them. So that's where you would make your load time faster. CodeMonkey did a video about that a couple months ago. For cloud content delivery, you're only going and getting them as you need them, and so it's not even installed on your phone.
Isn't it?
Because I thought that you will have like one track for in the build, so while it will be playing, I will
it would always play the first one quickly. That's definitely an approach you could take. Is you could always make the first one preloaded.
That makes sense.
Yeah. Now Manie, sorry.
That's okay. With the cloud content delivery, is it possible to actually place the downloaded content into your streaming assets folder and then just keep it there?
Repeat the question? I'm not sure I understood the question.
You know the streaming assets folder that you have as part of Unity. It's one of the standard folders, like the Android plugins folder.
Oh.
That Unity actually looks for assets. Can you place it, if you do a cloud content delivery, can you then place it permanently into that folder and look for it from there?
So you'd probably have to do that. You'd probably have to write a script to copy it there or something. I would think. Yeah, I'm not sure. That'd be a good thing to research. So you're saying that initially it's not there, but as you use it, as you go and get it on demand, you put it in that streaming assets folder and just use it from there?
Yeah. Something like you get with the Android Play Store, where you download the app and it's got the basic app, and then the extra content gets delivered, but it gets permanently stored on your device.
Yeah, that's a good question. That's your homework, Manie, is to research that for next meeting.
I'll have a look at that. I'll just need to gain about 15 years of experience, and then I'll get back to you.
Then we'll there will be a new couple of game engines. So like Unity will be like something of old school and old forgotten.
Yeah, we'll have such fast internet that none of us will have local storage left.
Everything is cloud.
So I know Klaus attended the AI Game Day conference. Did anybody else here attend it?
I have recordings, but I was not able to do that.
Oh, so you registered, but you just didn't attend live?
Yeah.
Okay.
I had a clip.
I was also just listening to the expo hall and didn't listen to the talks yet.
The last talk in particular was awesome. Chris Lucian, I think his name is. He was writing unit tests and showing how to use GitHub Copilot to help you write your code and your unit tests, and how you can test things like game objects you can test them in edit mode tests by using reflection to access the private methods and stuff. He wrote a little helper function for it, and I mean, he was able to, like, in 0.04 seconds test, like, initializing a component that made sure that await did everything it was supposed to do to initialize this component, like set it at the right position and all this other stuff. And I learned some things about GitHub Copilot and ChatGPT that I didn't know. So GitHub Copilot, whatever tabs you have open in your editor, it sends that up to the cloud to learn how to give you answers. So if you wanted to copy your code style, open up a bunch of your scripts and other tabs. Don't close your tabs. And then if you wanted to copy some other people's style, like maybe open up scripts for some of the assets that you use in your project so that it will use them as fodder to train the engine to give you more relevant answers. You can also put comments at the top of your file, like all code below should adhere to solid principles or extreme programming principles or something. Basically, give it hints on how you want it to answer. The other thing that he said was in ChatGPT, you can give it custom instructions for you that will tell it how to answer you. Like tell it, I'm a Unity game developer and I use solid principles and I follow extreme programming principles and I like the observer pattern, and basically just give it some stuff like that, and then that will direct it in how to answer your questions. So that was really cool. But there were some really cool talks on how to use Stable Diffusion, a lot of AI art stuff. There was one about AI generated music and sound effects, which looked pretty cool. I'm looking forward to playing around with that some.
Yeah, I think it will be very cool if you have some sci-fi style game. It will be just super mixing, especially with that. But yeah, it's very cool. I definitely will need to sit and just watch everything.
Yeah.
I managed to catch Corvallis' talk on AI, on that AI character that he made. And one of the questions that came up was, how do you get your AI character not to have knowledge or not to divulge knowledge that it's not supposed to divulge at that time? And he also talked a lot about creating that context and having the character stay in those lines. And he said, boy, if that doesn't work, just keep the information away from the AI until it's relevant.
Oh.
Which I thought was interesting, but I didn't know that Copilot would actually use your other tabs for context.
Yeah, he said nobody knows that.
I had a feeling when I was using the Visual Studio Code, and because in Visual Studio Code you have this chat with the Chat GPT. With the Copilot. You have a chat with the Copilot, as I show.
I always get them mixed up too.
Yeah, and when all of my tabs were closed about which I was talking, I had like very stupid answers. But when I opened all of them, for example, hey, I want to make the same logic as in this script, but the way it was here, then I got much better answers. But I was like thinking that it was only working in the Visual Studio Code, because they have this integration. But I had a joke that I opened all of my tabs way before years. Like I always had a lot of tabs in my Rider open, so it was not a problem for Rider to read them all, or for a Copilot to read them all. But yeah, because like reading all the project for Copilot is like very hard, but when you have just several tabs, yeah, it's possible. Quite logical.
Let's see if I can. I'm going to try and share. So this is my dashboard for Unity Cloud Content Delivery. So can you all see that?
Yep.
So I basically have a environment called development, and then I have a bucket in there called test. And in that bucket, I've got music assets and sound effects assets. And those contain the music and the sound effects for that game. And you can upload content from the dashboard, or you can use the command line interface, the CLI, to do that. So, yeah, and so in my code, all I had to do was just am I stopped sharing? Okay. All I had to do in my code was do addressable.load async and then give it the handle for that addressable. And when you define the addressable, and you can add it to an asset group, and then you can say whether that's local or remote. And then, if it's remote, you give it a bucket. And so, yeah, it will, when you go to load that addressable, and you can also add things to your game object, like a serialized field as an asset reference, which I already did when I was just using addressables just locally. But it will use that same asset reference, and you can just pass that in to the load async, and it'll know to go to the bucket and get it from Cloud Content Delivery. So it's pretty easy to use.
Yeah, much simpler. because I remember previously you should need to create your own server for getting all those stuff, like all the asset bundles.
Yeah, and for that free tier price, it's really worth it. So Max, you use Zenject in your project, right?
I use, but in a very simple way. So it's usually it's bindings,
Bindings.
yeah, and I usually use it as a way to create some kinds of instances, but the different ways, because, for example, you can, but yeah, in quite simple way. So I didn't use Signal. If you want to ask about signals,
So maybe next week you can prep a little bit to show us how you use it, because I'm very new to it. I'm still just learning how to use it, and maybe I'll pick up something from you.
I can show because in my boss project.
Well, right now it's 2:15 my time. I need to get back to work, but
Okay.
maybe planned
will
on
try
sharing
to
it next
share.
week. Cool.
Yep.
All right. Wait, anybody have any
yeah.
closing words?
Yeah, I just want to make it. Sorry, you go.
No, I don't have it. No.
I just want to make a quick mention regarding that issue I showed you guys earlier. I figured it's a Unity bug, and I wanted to go to 22.3 anyway, so I just upgraded my app, and that worked. Problem
Oh.
solved.
Oh, cool.
All the way.
What version were you on?
2021 LTS.
Okay,
So I just moved to the newer LTS.
Quite good one.
cool.
Yeah, it's like using a hammer to kill an ant, but it works. So. Happy.
To work.
Nice.
Why not?
All right, y'all. Well, good meeting. I
Yeah.
look forward to next week. Y'all have a good week.
Have a great week.
Have a nice
See
week.
you
Hey, everyone.
next time.
Good one.
Have a good one.
See ya.
See y'all.
Bye.